Hey guys, today's video is about 5 amazing books that I would recommend anyone read, but specifically I'm recommending these for younger people who are starting their career, starting their young adult life, and finding their way in the world. I think these are amazing books for you to read, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, and I'm very sorry, but I'm going to start off with an extremely basic recommendation, and that's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Most people have heard of it. It's kind of like a classic book that's recommended to young people, but for good reason. It's an amazing book, and it's all about personal finance, which maybe isn't the most interesting subject, but it is super important, to set up a good foundational base and have some financial intelligence when you're starting your career and growing up to be an adult. But yeah, this is the best book to start with, in my opinion. That's why so many people recommend it. And it's not really about like technical advice, how to invest your money and things like that, the stock market specifically. It's more, like I said, just building a base and giving you the information you need to learn financial intelligence, build good habits and things like that. So it won't be like, oh, you need to invest here, here, and here. It'll be like, start thinking about money this way, start thinking about finances this way. And another great thing about it is it's super accessible. It's written for pretty much anyone to understand, so you don't have to like be a business or accounting type person to understand it. Basically, everyone's going to be able to understand this, and it really just sets you up with good habits and a good foundation for financial health in the future. So recommendation number 1, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. All right, number 2 is another book that is pretty well known, but for great reason, and that's why I'm recommending it. It's The Alchemist, which is, a short novel, magical realism style. It's written by Paulo Coelho, I think that's how you say it. I think he's Brazilian. And it's just about a young man named Santiago finding what is known as his personal legend, which is basically just him finding his way in the world, which is why I think it's so great for young people to read. I won't give any spoilers or anything, but basically the plot is this young guy, Santiago, is a shepherd, and he has some goals and dreams, but not really any way of achieving them. But the whole book is about this journey that he goes on to find what is known as, like I said, his personal legend, which is just like your life's meaning, your life's goal, whatever you really want to attribute it to. But it's a great book. It's really interesting. It's, how many pages is this? It's pretty quick. Let's see. 168 pages. It's a very quick read and super engaging the whole time. So even just for fun, like it's fun to read, but it also has a good purpose too, because it'll really get you thinking. And just a fair warning, if you don't want to start thinking about this sort of stuff, because it can be kind of scary to think about, oh, am I living my personal legend? Am I living my life to the fullest extent that I should be, doing what I want, achieving my dreams, all those sorts of things? Then maybe don't read it, because I read it a year or two ago and I was like, I had a panic attack. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not living my personal legend. Like, what am I doing? This is horrible. So it can be a little stress inducing that way, but overall, I think it's like a good exercise. You should be thinking about these things and you should want to achieve your personal legend. So yeah, even though it can be a little scary to think about those things, I definitely think this is a great book and highly recommend it to any young person trying to find their way, or even an older person. Like, it's just a great book. I think I'm going to reread it, honestly, in a few weeks. It's amazing. Okay, next up is a book I'm hoping is not as famous and popular as the first two, and that is Give and Take by Adam Grant. So Adam Grant is obviously a very famous author, but this is not his most famous book, but I think it's possibly his best. Give and Take is all about how much you should give to other people and how much you should take from other people. The book opened us up by explaining that there are givers and takers in the world, and givers look to just give to other people unconditionally. They don't really worry about what they get in return, whereas takers look to see what they can get out of other people without really giving in return, or giving and taking in equal measure. So there's the givers and the takers. And then it also explains that when companies are surveyed and the employees are surveyed, the givers are like the lowest performing people at the company. Like, all the lowest performing people at the company are givers. And you're like, oh shoot, you shouldn't give to people. It's a weird way to start this book. What's this book going to be about? But then it also explains that the top performing people are also givers. So it's this weird like conundrum where the top and the bottom are giving unconditionally more than they're taking. And the book kind of goes on to explain why that is, and why you should be a giver, and how you can be a giver that's like at the top where it benefits you. And it's just a great book because it really it encourages you to want to go and help other people, to volunteer, things like that, because it explains like how beneficial it really is for you to do that. But like I said, it explains it in a way where you'll be someone who gets a lot from it and you're at the top, rather than someone who's like getting stepped all over like a doormat and a low performer. So it's a really good book. It encourages you to go out, give, volunteer, all that sorts of stuff. So for those reasons, I think it's a great book. I loved Give and Take, and I think you will as well. All right, next up is The Psychology of Money. And I actually lent my copy to a friend, so I don't have it with me right now, so I'm just gonna use a black notebook and pretend like this is it. But anyway, The Psychology of Money is another one that's kind of like personal finance, rich dad, poor dad type of thing, but not really. It's about money, and it's basically written by Morgan Housel, and it's 20 lessons about money, all related to psychology, because something that we don't really appreciate sometimes is how much psychology goes into money. Like every person on this planet has a different relationship with money, and that determines how they interact with it. Some people get their paycheck and spend it all in an instant because that's based on how they were raised and whatever's happened in their life, that's the relationship they have with money. Whereas other people get their paycheck and they don't want to spend a single cent of it, and they're worried that they're going to lose all of it, and they have just such a scarcity mindset, and that's because of their relationship in their life. And then there's a million things in between. Like everyone has a different relationship with money. But overall, the book just gives 20 lessons that are kind of unique perspectives on money that I hadn't really thought of, and definitely, opened my eyes up to different ways of looking at things. And I just really enjoyed it. I found it was a really engaging read and also informational. I feel like I took a lot of value from it. And as a young person, if you're interested in like personal finance and money and that sort of thing, I think you'll definitely enjoy it, and I would highly recommend it. This is not it, but I do recommend The Psychology of Money. Great book. Okay, at number 5, I'm going to say that you should read anything that interests you. It's a little bit of a cop-out, but I think it's probably the most important answer on this list. I think reading is such an important thing to do, and following your passions and interests is also so important. And at the end of the day, reading should be for fun, so you should find things that interest you and dive deep into those topics. Read about anything you want, because like I said, reading is great for your brain, great for your soul, and should be fun. So follow those passions, read anything you like, read on a wide range of topics too. Don't just, if you want to just read on one topic over and over and over again, that's fine. I used to do that actually. Read a lot of soccer books back in the day. But now I read on a way wider spectrum of books. Like here's a soccer book, here's The Catcher in the Rye, here's a book about the most prolific art thief in history, and then here's a book about evolution. And these are some of my favorite books I've read in the past year, and they're just a wide range of topics. Just find anything that sounds interesting to you and read it. Give it a shot. If it's not interesting, put it down, move on to the next one. But yeah, I think as a young person, when you're finding your way in the world, you're finding your personal legend, also just follow your passions, follow your interests, and good things will come from that. So, in summary, the 5 books I would recommend are, first up, got it right here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Second, The Alchemist. Third, what was third? Third was Give and Take. 4 was The Psychology of Money, which I don't have right now. And then 5 is anything that interests you. Just read what you're interested in, and like I said, good things will come and you'll have fun along the way. But yeah, those were my 5 books I'd recommend anyone to read, but specifically young people. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you were able to take some inspiration from this, and just remember, read what interests you. Good things will come from that. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. But until then, I will see you next time. Thanks.